Oh, crap.
Yeah. We got fog and it's really cold over here too. I think in my house it's 30, but outside it's 45. So
Well, hey, it's kind of ridiculous. All right. Let's get all set up, and I'm pretty sure people can now hear and see us. And my question to you, unless somebody else is here and wants to during the wait, where's my chat? Where did the chat go? It's streaming oh, I hate when they change things around. No, not chat settings. Okay, there we go. You had to just move stuff. Okay, there's our chat. There, where did you go? Anyway, we have a choice. I found a new set of questions that we can do. I scoured the internet for a set of questions that we had not done before. And I also did a another or new fill in the blank. You know how I did the fill in the blank thing? So this is a brand new one that's AI. So I wanted to give you the choice to tell me which one you prefer.
I really like the questions
Okay.
that you do.
All
So,
right. Well, then let's do the questions.
okay. Awesome.
Let me share my screen. Where is Zoomity Zoom? There it is. And share. All right. Now let's make it so I can see, well, at least the chat. All right. Wait, you all can't see anything. It's just a black screen, I think. Let's try refreshing. Maybe it's on my side. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yay, new questions, new set of 100 questions. Let's go. Your clients are financing $400,000 for a property with a 30-year loan at a 3.5% interest rate. If the amortization factor is 4.49045, how much would their principal and interest payment be per month? Now, I knew that you, Miss Caroline, do not have to do math, but I'm going to do it just so in case anybody else wants to see us do it. Um, and hopefully it just makes sense. In fact, y'all, I was just helping, I think I said this the other day, my best friend's parents with their, a second loan and understanding what the payments are and what does this mean. And they really appreciated it. So when we get licensed, we're not just, oh, I can open the door and let you into the house. We're, hey, I'm actually a real estate professional and I know what I'm talking about here. So there's that. Let's go ahead and do this. Well, they're borrowing $400,000. And we know that they're going to pay some dollar amount for every $1,000 they're borrowing. So if I take this $400,000 and I divide it by $1,000, then they're borrowing 400 if you imagine it as $1,000 bills. Right. They need to borrow some $1,000 bills. How many? 400 of them. And what we're going to do is we say, okay, for every single 1,000 that you borrow, your monthly payment is some dollar amount. So if you borrow $1,000 from me, pay me back $1 a month until you pay back the complete $1,000. That is what our factor is. Our amortization factor really should always have a dollar sign in front of it. It should say 4.49045, right? We're saying, look, you can borrow this money, but for every 1,000 you borrow, pay us $4.49 every month for each thousand, and then you're done paying us when you've paid off the loan. So that means we're going to take the 4.49045. You're borrowing 400 1,000s. So I'm going to do this math. 4.49 045 times 400, and I get 1796.18. And of course, that is our answer B. So hopefully that's making sense to everybody. I mean, that's how it works. That's how it goes. So you all are good. Yay. Good. I'm telling you, Caroline, you're going to make the best agent ever. You're going to be like, let me explain this to you. Let me show you how this works. So, Rosalinda, you're going to make a great agent too. Just saying. I want you all to feel like when you get started, you know exactly what you're doing. Okay, well, maybe not exactly because it's been 20 years. I still don't know what I'm doing, but I want you to feel confident in the basics. All right. Number 2, a home is in foreclosure. The current liens are as follows. First mortgage balance, 250,000, annual property tax of 2,700, and a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, with a balance of 15,000. What is the standard order of lien priority at a closing unless otherwise specified otherwise? Oh, good, Rosalinda, you got the same thing. Yay. Is it A, property taxes, then the first mortgage, then the HELOC? Is it B, the first mortgage, then property taxes, and then the HELOC? Is it C, first the HELOC, the first mortgage, or property taxes? Or is it D, the first mortgage, the HELOC, and then property taxes? Anybody got a clue? Well, oh, Caroline said, I don't know. Okay, that's okay. Rosalinda said A. So we got one person that's saying A. And of course, Rosalinda, you are correct. Ooh, why? Because we know the first lien paid, the first lien paid will always be your property taxes. Always, 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 right? So we know we got our property taxes here. That's the first thing paid. And even if all you knew was that one thing, you could get that question right. Property taxes are always the first thing paid, the first lien paid, right? After that, it tends to go in the order of what was recorded first. And this is where I want to make sure everybody understands this concept of a home equity line of credit, otherwise known as a HELOC. So let's think about this. If I'm buying a house and I want to buy a $700,000 house. Let me tell y'all about how I do not have $700,000 in my bank account. I would need to borrow $600,000, right? Let's just say 600,000. Because I borrowed $600,000, depending if I'm a title theory state or a lien theory state, am I giving away title or is there just a lien on my property? Either way, at the Register of Deeds, if I borrowed the money from, ABC Bank, the very first lien on my title, if you did a lien search at the Register of Deeds, the first lien you would see is from ABC Bank for that $600,000. If the house is worth 700, but I got a mortgage for 600,000, that means I would have $100,000 in equity. And maybe I want that $100,000. I need to borrow that money. I mean, it's my money, it's my value. So what you can do is you can get a line of credit from the bank. You can basically get a credit card based off of this equity. So this credit card based off the equity would be recorded after your first mortgage. So basically, I bought the house. You can see the house is mine in my name. Then you would see my $600,000 mortgage from ABC. And then you would see, oh, I needed to borrow from that equity. So we're paying in the order that you got the liens or you borrowed the money. So first we pay property taxes, then that first mortgage, because that was our $600,000 one, whichever. And then your HELOC is going to be based off the equity you have in the home. Hopefully that makes sense, but let me know if it does not. Yay. And just remember, there's a difference between a line of credit and a home loan. If you don't know what that is, let me know. I will explain it. But a HELOC is different than just a like a not a refinance, but just an equity loan. All right, number 3. A property located on a lakefront has a driveway that passes through a neighboring property back to the main road. What type of easement is this? A property located on a lakefront. Okay, so let's draw this out. We got a lakefront, there's a property, and it has a driveway that passes through a neighboring property. So this is our lakefront property, and this is the neighbor's property. So I'm assuming the road is going to look like that. What type of easement is this? We got a pertinent easement, or an easement appurtenant. I don't like how that's. I'm just going to use appurtenant. I think it sounds better. Easement appurtenant, easement in gross, easement by necessity, or easement by prescription. Okay, Caroline says E. Mariel, you're saying A. Wait, you said not E, you said C. So we got a C and we got an A. Anybody else? Rosalinda, you want to be our tiebreaker there? You said A. And our answer is A, appurtenant easement. Now, this one is very, I don't want to say it's picky, but it is picky. Well, you know what? I'm going to say it could be C, but it probably is A. And let's talk about why. An easement appurtenant just means, hey, if this is our easement, it attaches to this house. So if you sell this house, so let's say Bob owns the house and sells it to Sally. Well, now Sally could cross over this property here, this neighbor's property. Sally could cross over. So if the easement involves 2 properties, and you've got your dominant tenement and you've got your servient tenement. If it involves 2 properties and it's about the right of one property to cross another, then yay. Okay, fine. It could be, though, an easement by necessity. If you look at how I set it up, well, it depends. Is there another road or access somehow? If there's no other way for Bob or Sally to get to the main road, if there's no other way to get there, then it's going to be an easement by necessity. You have to have that road. So, but I like to do this. I like to think easement by necessity is about why. Why or how did you get the easement? And then I think appurtenant is type and gross is type. Does that kind of make sense? So if I'm drawing this out, I don't actually have to draw it out because I have my nifty doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Let's open it up, my files. Sorry, guys. Study guides. Hmm. Where's my study guide? Y'all, has it been that long since I've opened it up? It's not that, it's not that, it's not that. Recent files. Here it is. Make sure I save that. Give it a second. Boom. So when we're talking about easements, look at how I separated this out. You got types of easements. Easements are either an easement appurtenant or an easement in gross. But then we can say, well, Why or how is the easement formed? Was it expressed, like it was expressly given to you in writing? Was it implied? Did you get it because you used it for the right amount of years and you followed all the rules? It's like easements, it's adverse possession for easements. Or is it you get an easement because we assume with our bundle of rights that you have the right to access the land, so thus you are going to be given an easement if even if the courts have to come in. This is a type of easement, and this is like the why of the easement. So if I was answering this test and it says what type of easement, because it said what type, I would go with easement appurtenant. However, if it asks, why or was this granted, I probably would go from the easement by necessity. Hopefully that helps. Hey, Celso. Hey, Mary. Hello. I see you all there. Yay. I'm glad that you two are here with me. So, boom. Yay, Caroline. That makes sense. Yay. Kelso. It's Kelso. It's not Celso. It's Kelso. I knew it's a hard C. Oh, wait. It's hard C solve. I can never remember. Now, you see, 3 surgeries later, you finally got to retake the exam, and boom, you passed. What? Oh, another person passed. First, you got through the surgery. Second, you passed the test, so you know what you get.
Good job, good job. Good job, good job. G-double-O-D-J-O-B. Good job, good job.
Hey, another one passed the test.
My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure.
Boom, boom, boom. Another one passed the test. Hey, boom, boom, boom. Another one passed the test. It's another one passed. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And I'm so glad that you got out of surgery okay. Send me an email. Yes, you did wait a long time for this. Send me an email so we can catch up because I know you had a lot of things. I want to hear about the surgeries and how work is going and through all of that. So we will set a Zoom time and talk about what your next steps are. So we love it. Oh, hey, Trix, you did wait. Ooh, you worked hard and you got it. I love that. Yes. All right. Ooh, yay, y'all. I love it when people pass. Makes my whole day. All right, number 4. A $10,000 tell you about waiting for a long time. It feels like you're taking forever to take your test. Okay, so let's say this, guys. I know we have this question to do, but you all are not alone on it's taking forever. I purchased my licensing exam so I could get licensed in Michigan in June. In June. And they were finally like, it's going to expire in December, the beginning of December, right? Which is why I timed to take my, end of class exam last month when my other students did. Like, you're not the only ones that life happens, it procrastinates. It's okay. It's okay. So don't feel bad as long as you get it done, right? That's okay. You're going to get it. You're going to get it. So I don't worry about it being a long time. It is your journey, and it doesn't have to look like anybody else's, right? Good. Okay. Let's do number 4. A $10,000 earnest money check from a buyer client is deposited into a broker's operating account that is also used for other transactions. What violation has been made? Is it commingling, conversion, conspiring, or escrow? Look at y'all. I see y'all with the A's in the canvas. Hey, Juana. Yep, a lot of y'all, I know you can't see it if you all are not in my Zoom room, but a lot of them said commingling. And yes, the answer is commingling. But my question to you is, what's the difference commingling versus conversion? What is the difference between commingling and conversion? Yes, it is true. Perseverance is the key, Tricks. Yes. What's the difference between commingling and conversion? While you all are thinking about it, we already knew the answer wasn't D, escrow. I mean, it's a type of escrow account. And conspiring, I don't think we're planning to do, something bad here. what's the difference between commingling and conversion? Well, here you go. Commingling is when you mix the money, and conversion is when you use the money in the wrong way. So if I put an earnest money check in my, general checking account, my operating account, that in and of itself is commingling. But if I have money in an escrow account, or it's escrow monies in general, and I'm like, oof, y'all, it's Christmas and I don't have enough money. Ooh, it's expensive time, or whatever holiday you may or may not celebrate right now. I need to borrow. I'm just going to borrow some of this escrow money, or maybe this person's security deposit, and I'll put it back later. When you use somebody else's money, that is when you converted it and it was for the wrong reasons. So that's the difference. Versus, so you got to, if you use it incorrectly, it's conversion. If you're mixing the money, it's commingling. All right. There they go. Let's do number 5. A mortgage lender charges 1 point for a loan origination fee, and your buyer clients opt to pay 1.5 discount points to lower their interest rate from 5.25% to 4.875%. The loan amount is $300,000. What is the total amount due for the buy down portion of points? I don't know if y'all can see my face, but I'm like, what? This is an awful lot of numbers, but it's okay. We got this. The first thing I'm going to do is remind myself that 1 point costs 1% of the loan amount, and it moves 1/8%. So if I pay 1 point, it's going to take my loan and it's going to move it 1/8% lower, which, by the way, guys, is 0.125. We're going to go down 0.125 in percentage amounts, and that's going to cost me 1%. Now, this is asking me for the total amount due for the buy down portion of the points. Okay, well, here's the thing. The problem gives us this 5.25 to 4.875. 5.25, yeah, 2, yep, that's 3. I had to make sure that is, but don't make any sense. Wait, let's make sure. I don't know. Y'all know I took these questions from someplace. If you're at 5.25% and we pay a point, then we would be at 5.25 minus 0.125. That's going to give us 5.125. Yeah, 5.125%. And then if I pay a 0.5 point, I'm not going to quite get to 5 because it's a 0.5 point. Yet our problem is saying they paid 1.5 discount points to go from 5.25 to 4.875. They would need to pay a whole point here, and then they would need to pay a whole point here to get 4.875%. Interesting. They would really need to pay 3 points in order to do this. So as I look here, I don't know. I mean, the problem says they opted to pay 1.5 discount points, but then it says it took their interest rate from 5.25 to 4.875. All right, well, let's figure this out. Oh, I got a ton of snow here, Miss Mary. It's way too much snow. I'm ready for my North Carolina winters back. Well, let's do 2 of them. We'll do both of them and then figure out what answer they say. I would probably go with this 1.5, since that's what it says. So if we have a loan for $300,000 and we multiply it by 1.5%, that would be times 1.5%, $4,500. Or if we did 3 points, we would do 300,000 times 3%, which would be what, 9,000? So 300,000 times 3%, that would be 9,000. And since 9,000 isn't on my list here, I'm going to go with 4,500. Now, you're not liking, yeah, I'm not liking the snow either. So the thing is here, guys, again, these were free questions. I scoured the internet for some questions in some PDF form. I was on somebody, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could have given my computer a virus trying to find some extra practice questions besides just AI. But I don't even think AI would have written a question this bad. This is a bad question, but it's great for review, right? It's great for review. So the reason, Maril, it's not 3,000 is because remember, it's going to cost you, every point's going to cost you 1% of the loan amount, and they asked them to pay 1.5 discount points. However, I don't mind the fact that we were able to go over how points work up here. It just so happened that this problem doesn't make logical sense as far as between the pay point 1.5 discount points and the 5.25. So hopefully a good review. You got confused. That's okay. It's a confusing question. What we want to remember is what's over here. Remember, 1 point is going to cost you 1% and it moves at 1/8. And then sometimes people just can't write a good question. Number 6, telling buyer clients who have school-age children that one area has better schools than another can be a form of which of the following violations? Telling buyer clients who have school-age children that one area has better schools than another can be a form of which of the following violations? Well, I mean, yes, I'm pretty sure. I'm with you, Trisha. I think they're going here with steering. Right? Because we know steering has to do with buyers. Blockbusting has to do with sellers. Redlining is about loans. And persuading is what we're trying to get. Yeah, that's not going to work. So I'm pretty sure it's steering. I also want to say, you telling a client that a school has, like 80% of the children that go to the school get accepted to, Ivy League colleges. What do you mean that it's a better school? I don't know. Now, having said that, if you say, oh, well, this is a better school because it's got this kind of people and not that kind of people, that most definitely would be steering. If you're basing it, what makes a school better off of a protected class, it's going to be a problem. So just be careful with that one. All right, number 7. Co-ownership without inheritance rights is what kind of real property ownership? Co-ownership without inheritance rights is what kind of real property ownership? We got tenancy at will, tenancy in severalty, tenancy in common, and joint tenancy. Well, let's work. Okay. All right. So we got D's. I got 2 D's for joint tenancy. Let's work through it. Well, tenancy at will would be renting, right? This is a type of non-freehold estate. Tenancy and severalty is not a thing. Remember, severalty is ownership by one person. And then this gives us tenancy in common versus joint tenancy. Well, what do we know about joint tenancy? Joint tenancy gets, the whole point to it is the right of survivorship. This idea that when somebody dies, it's not going to be inherited by the person who's died's heirs. It's going to be um uh, it's going to be passed. That portion is going to be, what's the verb I'm looking for here? It's going to be given to the other people who are still owners. So when it says co-ownership without inheritance rights, what we're talking about is nobody would be able to inherit it. Right? So our answer is not joint tenancy. We're looking for without inheritance, and that's going to be tenancy in common. You don't get the right for your clients to, or your heirs to inherit the property if it's a joint tenancy. Does that make sense? Wait, did I just say that right? No, no, I just said that wrong. I just did that backwards, didn't I? I was like, something's not right in my head. It's not tenancy in common. Tenancy in common has inheritance. So it is joint tenancy. I'm sorry, y'all. I was like, wait a minute. Did I just say that all wrong? I just said it all gaffled, all backwards. Y'all need to call me out on that one. The answer is joint tenancy because you don't get inheritance. Look at me talking about it backwards. So, joint tenancy, you don't get the inheritance because it's going to go through the right of survivorship. And in tenancy in common, you can have your heirs inherited. Womp womp. It's not just y'all. Sometimes it gets confusing. Does that make sense and understand how I got that messed up, y'all? Because it's a lot. I was talking and wasn't paying attention. It says without inheritance, and in joint tenancy, your heirs cannot inherit. Number 8, in order for a deed to be valid and legally enforceable, the deed must be signed by which of the following parties? Is it A, the grantor, the seller, and the grantee, the buyer? Is it B, just the grantee? Is it C, just the grantor? Or is it D, the trustee? Oh, I see y'all in my Zoom room coming up with the answer immediately. Y'all already knew this one. Y'all said, don't play with our emotions, Candace. We know this. We know. This is one of those 100%. You better know this fact. You better know that the grantor is the seller and the grantee is the buyer when we're talking about deeds. And you'd better know that the seller has to sign, but the buyer does not have to sign. Remember, you want to make sure that you know the grantee is never me. Exactly, Maria. I love that. The grantee is never me. But you want to make sure we understand this. They are definitely going to test you on it. And if you're in a title theory state, they want to make sure that you know with that deed of trust, when it's a deed of trust, the buyer is the, like she said, the grantee is never me. Right? Just make sure you know that. All right. Number 9. The Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, or RESPA, ensures that buyers receive an estimate of closing costs on the loan estimate, or LE form, within blank days of loan application, and a final closing disclosure, CD, of closing costs at least blank days before closing. All right, we got a C. We got a C. Caroline says C. All right. Very good. It is C, right? It is C. I was gonna make sure. Yeah, it should be C. Yeah, I was like 5, 3. Yep. Nope, it's 3. You got to get that closing disclosure before 3 days. So I knew it's not 5. I knew boom, boom. And then they're just trying to get you on this 5. It's 3. You got 3 days. Love it. All right, our next one. See, the easy ones we just go with. A property that the seller with the lender's permission, is selling for less than the seller owes against the property is known as, is it A, a foreclosure, B, a short sale, C, an REO, real estate owned, or D, a refi? All right, Mariel says B. We got B for 10. We got a B here. I'm a B, I'm a B, I'm a B. Okay. I think we like B, right? We like B? Yeah, we like B. B is the answer. It's a short sale. Why? Because you're selling for less than the seller owes. Foreclosure is usually because you missed payments. Now, we know when we have a mortgage or deed of trust, you also make promises, to keep the property in good repair, to keep insurance on the property, to make payments, not make any changes, major changes without permission. I mean, you break any of those rules, they can foreclose on you. But in general, we foreclose because somebody's not making their payments. A short sale just means you owe more than, you're selling for less than what you owe. And real estate owned is when a property that went through foreclosure was not bought at auction. And now the bank is sitting here like, I don't want this property. I'm not trying to be a property manager. And then they ask an agent to put it on the MLS. And refi is when you refinance your mortgage, I should say, to be correct, refinance, or you basically are replacing your promissory note. So let's say when you first got your loan, it was at 8.75%, and now the rates have gone down and they're at 6%. You might refinance. There you go. So B. All right, 11. Marie's Beach House has a right-of-way, which is a fancy word for an easement. So I can even just put that here, easement. Marie's Beach House has a right-of-way that allows nearby residents to access the beach. Oh, what is the primary difference between a right-of-way and an easement? Now, everything I've ever read is that a right-of-way and a right-of-way is a type of easement. So, y'all, we're going to take this one together. We might be calling Uncle Ray. Is a right-of-way provides a pass-through, but not a right of use to the property. I mean, easement could be, an easement can be okay, maybe. A right-of-way is always for an indefinite time period. A right-of-way offers the right to use the property for some function as compared to as just a pass-through. Well, I know it's not C. You get to use the property, but the whole point of a right-of-way is so that you can cross it. So I don't think the answer is C. Let's cross that out. A right-of-way has an expiration date. I mean, my gut would say a right-of-way has an expiration date. Because if it's an easement, remember, easements go on unless somebody terminates them. I mean, you can put a date in there, but my gut says D. A right-of-way is always for an indefinite period of time. No, I don't think it's B. And now I'm down to a right-of-way provides a pass-through, but not a right to use the property, which is not terrible either. Okay. A right-of-way has an expiration date. Maybe. A right-of-way lets you pass through, but not a right to use. Well, we got two types of easements. We got our easements appurtenant, and then we got our easements in gross. And when you have an easement in gross, you can have like an easement, like gas lines or electrical towers. So they're actually using the land. But if you have a right of way, you can't use it. And a right-of-way has an expiration date, but so could an easement possibly. Okay, I'm gonna have to go with A. And I'm gonna tell y'all why. I'm gonna look at my answer key in a second, but I'm gonna tell you why I'm going with A. D has me going, well, an easement could possibly have an end date too. Like it's saying, what's the difference? And D doesn't give me a difference. It doesn't say this compared to that. A is giving me a difference. A right of way has a pass through, but it doesn't have use. That is true. If you have a right of way, all you can do is cross. And in an easement, you could just have the right to cross, or you could have the right to use. And it's comparing the two. So I'm going to go with A. Right? So, should A or D? You thought a right of way would not have an expiration, Muriel. You know, I gotta say, a lot of states don't really put this much detail into it, but we're gonna ask Uncle Ray. But I'm gonna go with A. That's my thought. If I was taking the test, let's see. Let me get my thing here. Number 11. Hey, the answer's A. The answer's A. Hey, the answer's A. Do a little dance, do a little dance, do a little dance, do a little dance. Hey, 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 hey. All right. The answer was A for apple. Now, the question I have is, does a right-of-way have an expiration date? It's time to call our favorite person. And by favorite person and call, I mean press the button on my phone for ChatGPT. Uncle Ray, here we come. Hey, Uncle. Hey, Uncle Ray. What is the difference between a right-of-way and an easement? And do right-of-ways have expiration dates, or they never have expiration dates, or they could possibly have expiration dates?
Hey, Candace. Sure thing. Let's dive into that. So, the term right of way is actually a type of easement. In other words, an easement is the broader category, and a right of way is just one specific kind of easement that allows someone to pass through another person's property. For example, if you need to cross your neighbor's land to get to your own property, that path is a right of way. Now, in terms of whether these things can have an expiration date, yes, they definitely can, but it depends on how they're set up. Some easements and rights of way are granted indefinitely and just kind of run with the land, meaning they last as long as the property exists and transfers from owner to owner. Others can be set up for a specific period of time or tied to a particular event after which they expire. So it's really all about the terms that were agreed upon when that easement was created. In short, a right of way is just a type of easement focused on passage. And yes, they can have expiration dates, so that's how they're set up.
Hopefully everybody heard that. Oh, Muriel, you can't hear it. I don't know if everybody else could hear, but I wonder why it is that some people can't. I don't know. What he said was, I was correct. I mean, I do love those words. I was correct. A right of way is a type of easement. It's a type of easement where all you can do is cross, versus that easement in gross where, you can use it. You can have that, electrical box or, lines or towers there. So a right of way could have an expiration date or it could not have an expiration date. He said it depends on how it's set up. So yes, A is our answer. Boot. Was everybody else able to hear that? I'm hoping. If you weren't able to hear, let me know. Okay, yes, Caroline is able to hear. Yeah, I gotta figure out why you can't hear, why it doesn't go through for you. All right, we're learning something. I confirmed something. You all learned something. I like it. 12. A commercial tenant's lease. I mean, shouldn't that be possessive? I think that needs to have a. I wonder if this person got these questions through AI. I don't know. A commercial tenant's lease has come to an end, and they are moving to a new location. They are removing their company sign and shelving that is affixed to the wall by the entrance. What term is used to refer to these items? Is it A, fixtures, B, trade fixtures, C, personal property, or D, real property? All right, Caroline comes in strong with the B. Marilsi said B. I like it. I like it. Our answer, of course, is B, a trade fixture, because we know a trade fixture is a fixture that is put into a leased, commercial property that we want to consider to be personal property so the tenant can take it with them. So good job, y'all. Good job. Good job. All right, 13. What income analysis method is typically used to calculate the appraised value of residential or commercial properties consisting of 5 or more units? Ooh. What income analysis method is typically used to calculate the appraised value of residential or commercial properties consisting of 5 or more units? All right, we got the straight line method, the cap rate method, the gross rent multiplier, or the gross income multiplier. Well, it says income analysis. So we know it's either the GIM or the GRM or the cap rate. It's not the straight line method. So we're down to 3. We got a 33 and a chance. It's residential or commercial properties. 5 or more units. I mean, I don't believe it's going to be the gross rent multiplier, pachaw, right? My gut is saying cap rate. My gut is saying cap rate. Because it says commercial, and I think gross income multiplier might be residential only. I'm going to go with you all, and I'm going to say B, cap rate. Final answer. Let's see if I'm right. Womp, womp. Womp, womp. It says our answer was D. Ugh. I have to give myself, oh, I should have said that's what the answer is. I got to give myself my own.
Houston, we have a problem.
Now, I'm trying to figure out why that would be right. An income analysis method. Residential or commercial. So if you had asked me, let me erase this. If you had asked me, what's the difference between C and D? And this is not for every state, but gross rent multipliers is for 1 to 4 units. And gross income multiplier is for 5 or more units sometimes. And then the cap rate is for larger properties, which would be more than 5 units. So residential or commercial, I got to ask Uncle Ray. This one's hard. Let's see. See, it's okay not to know the answers. In fact, when you get an answer wrong, figure out why you got it wrong. That's how we learn. Hey, Uncle Ray, if I'm using an income analysis method for value, appraised value, for something that's residential or commercial, or I guess what I'm trying to say is, can I use a GIM, a gross income multiplier, for both residential and commercial real estate? And can I use a cap rate or the NOI method for both residential and commercial real estate?
Absolutely, Candace, you can. So when it comes to using these different income-based valuation methods, there's a bit of flexibility. A gross income multiplier, or GIM, is definitely something that you can use on both residential rental properties and on commercial properties. It just gives you a quick ratio of the property's price to its gross income, and that's something that works in both worlds. Similarly, the capitalization rate, or cap rate, is also a really universal tool. It's maybe more commonly associated with commercial real estate, but you can absolutely use it for residential income properties as well, especially if you're looking at multifamily units or something that's a little more investment oriented. So the short answer is yes. Both of those methods can cross over between residential and commercial. It just depends on the type of property and what kind of income it's generating.
All right, Mariel, I know you couldn't hear it, but basically said the answer could have been either one. The answer could have been either one, which doesn't help us with answering this question, but it does give us a review. And remember, you won't get questions like this on your exam. This may be a terrible question, but it's a great way to go. Let me review GIMs, GRMs, and the NOI cap rate. Do I understand what the difference is and why I would use them? And I kind of know the basics. You would never have a badly written question like this. So don't freak out, but there you go. 14. Which of the following agent fiduciary duties remains beyond the termination of agency relationship? Which of the following duties remains beyond the termination of the agency relationship? We got obedience, loyalty, confidentiality, and disclosure. What says you? All right. Caroline gave me, confident Caroline gave me a C as an answer. And of course, that is correct. It's that confidentiality, right? You can't go around telling people, oh, let me tell you about the finance stuff of this client. Now, just a little side note, if you're in North Carolina, this works a little bit different. But for everybody else, yes, the confidentiality thing for most states is going to be that stays even after your relationship is over. 15. What type of deed is most often used to remove a cloud from the title of a property? What type of deed is most often used to remove a cloud from the title of a property? Is it A, a quitclaim deed, B, a court-ordered deed, C, a bargain and sale deed, or D, a special warranty deed? Caroline says A. She's right out the gate with that A. Trisha says A. And I like it. Our answer is most definitely A, the quitclaim deed. Remember, the quitclaim deed doesn't even say you own the property. You're just saying, hey, if I have any connection to it, if I have any interest in this property, I'm done. I'm not telling you that my interest is good or that you can live there or that I'm going to follow up. It's just, hey, I'm out. I'm done. It's a quitclaim deed. 16. Enacted in 1974. Which of the following is a regulation that aims to give all legal individuals an equal opportunity to apply for loans? Is it A, a Fair Housing Act, B, the Credit Consumer Act, C, the Civil Rights Act, or D, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act? Well, I know it's not the Civil Rights Act of 1866. And it's not that. No. I'm going to go with no. All right. The Fair Housing Act, the aim of it was not for loans, so I don't think it's that. And the Credit Consumer Act is a thing, but it's more about your credit scores. I'm going to say that our answer is D, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, ECOA. And remember, it's going to have a little bit, for most people, if you're talking about the national laws, there's more coverage in ECOA. Like you cannot be denied a loan because you're not married or you are married or you're too old. So there we go. Good job. 17. Blank describes the process of converting personal property to real property. Blank describes the process of taking personal property, converting it to real property. Is it annexation? Is it severance? Is it appurtenance? Or is it conforming? All of those are good vocab words. All right, we got A. Trisha says A. Caroline says A. And guess what? I say A. Yay. Hey. A. Our answer is A. Remember, if you're annexing something, you're adding it in. It's an addition. Severance is like you've severed your arm off or a limb on a tree, like you're separated, right? That's taking real property and making it personal property. You're taking a piece off. We know appurtenance is something that runs with the land, and we know conforming is usually has to do with types of loans, or we're talking about appraisals. If things conform, they have their value. So yes, our answer is A. I will say this, I think these sets of questions, which again, I've never seen before, I'm downloaded, but I haven't read them in advance. I think this quiz does give us a good job. It does a good job of giving us a lot of vocab choices. Not too many of them are just like, well, that clearly is not the answer. But let's see. Number 18. A title insurance claim was paid to the policyholders, the homeowners, to clear a defect found after closing. The insurance company is now seeking payment for the at-fault party responsible for the defect. What clause in the title policy allows the insurance company to make this claim? You know what? I feel like in my list of lists, I should have a list of clauses. I feel like maybe we need a list of clauses because there's all sorts of clauses. So, which clause in the title policy allows the insurance company to make this claim? I'm going to make a little side note here. Maybe I'll get bored during the holidays. Types/list of clauses. I feel like that could be helpful. Yes, it would be. Okay, Caroline. Yeah. I like that too. And I like your answer B, subrogation. Yes, subrogation. So mediation, arbitration, that has to do when you have a dispute, and instead of going to a full court case, you can either do mediation or you can do arbitration. So important words to know, but not what we need here. And it's not the fair housing law. So yes, it is B, subrogation, because really it's the homeowner. The homeowner is the person who was wronged. And so the fact that the homeowner was wronged, they're taking that I've been wrongedness and they're allowing the insurance company to sue on their behalf. And one more. Lenders rely on which of the following methods to determine the amount of money they are willing to lend against a property? Lenders rely on which of the following methods to determine the amount of money they are willing to lend against a property? So, and don't get caught up with it against a property. Like, how do they figure out how much they're going to lend you? Do they do an assessment? Do they use a CMA, a comparative market analysis? Is it C, an appraisal, or is it D, an income analysis? Do 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 do. All right, Mariel says B. Okay, we got one B. All right. Caroline, are you saying B too? And Trish, are you saying B? Right.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm saying B.
All right. Well, that's not quite the right answer, but let's talk about why. Let's talk about why. Lenders rely on which of the following methods? So remember, CMAs are for real estate agents. If you want to say to somebody, hey, this is how much your property is worth, and the bank is going to use that for, for deciding whether whether they're going to give a loan. Remember FIRREA, what is that? The Financial Institutions Reforms and Recovery Act or something. It's FIRREA, FIRREA, something like that. But that's the act that says if a bank is going to be using your number of how much this house is worth to decide if somebody gets a loan, that person has to be licensed as an appraiser. CMAs are a watered down version of what the agent thinks the house might sell for. It's not assessment because assessments have to do with taxes. And the income analysis would be a way with, that's like the income approach, the cost approach, the sales approach. It's appraisal. If a lender's going to use it, then the person has to have a appraisal license. So, boom, there we go. All right, what do we think of these questions? I mean, they are what they are, but it always helps to see new questions. I've not seen these questions before, and I've seen a ton of questions, and they're not exactly the same. But did you learn something? That's always our goal here. You all come in, and even if you got it wrong, or I got it wrong, because hey, I got one of them wrong. Although, in my defense, Uncle Ray did say it could have been either one. But did you learn something? It's helpful. Good. Remember, guys, if you're going to study, I don't want you just to throw in 20 hours a week and not learn something. Every time you finish a study session, you should be able to say, hey, I learned this item. I would encourage you to take notes and say, oh, I learned this today. I learned that today. And then review those notes, because it's all about reviewing what you've already learned. All right, guys, I will see you on Friday. If it continues to snow here in Michigan, I will still not have left my house. So please send food through Instacart because I'm not going grocery shopping. I will just eat cereal and sandwiches until I die. Yes, just saying. All right, guys, if you need me, thanks. I will try to stay warm. If you need me, you know how to find me, and I will see everybody Friday, 3
Good
p.m.
night, thank
Eastern.
you.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody. You're so
Bye.
welcome.